Oh, she did you? Yes. She's like, put housewife. And then she gave me a name of last time.
We finished the pod.
Guys, thanks for
dancing lights. And if the newsman makes your heart skip a beat, you're welcome here. Come over and help yourself. When every fool is a self-help salesman, making too much sense, but too little meaning.
Hey everybody, welcome back to PPJ with your favorite people.
Pumla. Prima.
Joel.
Alan.
Yeah, the secret member, Alan. How you doing,
Alan,
Alan?
people want to see you. Guys, I met someone who came
You
to
met
me,
someone? Oh.
who came and was so excited to see me. Said, oh, hello, Pumla, you guys, I love you guys so much. I like PPJ. Hey.
Nice.
I proceed because of that exam shout out proceed. I was so happy, like nobody has ever
You've
like
touched the
that.
thoughts.
You know? And as in she when I said, I gave a very big hug. You know me, I'm usually running away from this.
Completely.
Yeah. I was
Yes.
so happy to see, as in I felt seen and heard and appreciated. Alan, how do you feel with that message?
I'm so happy right now.
Officially part of PPG.
Yeah, it's official.
It's official.
So we're going
It's
to change
official.
the name now.
PPG.
It's already changed.
No, but you know, people may think
PPG.
it's PPJ Africa. Associated.
That's true.
something-
That's true.
something
That's
from that.
true.
So you
That's
better
true.
pay
Remember
attention.
someone entered my inbox and Real sent me a long paragraph of as if prayer for Alan.
Oh yeah, but after you share the stories.
From that 2 episodes, like from the stories, they're like, I really need to see, please, as in for whatever he's going through, may he I was like, nah, Gekumbe is here.
Alan, where can they send their prayers?
Thank you for forwarding to me.
But
There
it's
could be
me.
other things.
I know that are there, that are.
In your past now.
Everything is
Everything is great now.
Now you know when you're telling the story, as we never knew. You sell chapati at lunchtime. When you're, hey, that one I'll never recover. Chapati at school, Pumla. Your friends see you in class and at lunchtime you're like, Sato Ovanya. What is?
My most broken moment. Oh, I said Cambridge. I was walking as I was building my house.
Up to now, that thing comes in the
I
comment
had to
section.
make chapati.
I said ideal, but dear 1%. Now dear 1% we are here. Anyway, today we are busy
Someone told me
as per usual.
any bad situation is easier if you're handsome. Because of this.
Any bad situation is easier
Someone
if
told
you're
you.
handsome.
If your hands are
Of course, but we talked about pretty privilege. Yeah.
In there.
That was that episode. I forgot that.
but I think that thing stops somewhere.
Oh,
There's a certain age where we're like Mukwano.
of course.
Yeah,
Of course, it has where it stops.
Yeah. Didn't you hear that person who said Mbu? Handsome means Muhandi Muinokubera Musa.
Same. Okay, I love that.
It's like being
Yeah, after a certain age now, money talks. We don't care what you look like.
Yeah.
what's that age? I reached it.
30. You reached it, Saki?
Hey, okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at 40.
I still
My
have pretty
friend.
privilege though.
Today's
Today's episode. Okay.
we can talk.
How was your week?
Work was great.
Any highlights?
It's been
much,
good.
huh?
Okay, so at the time we're filming this,
Yes.
we just got out of the Matters Day celebrations, and for me that's like a really lovely time because I'm a resident of Namugongo, and I don't like to be invited for things like it's my time where I don't have to leave the house because the roads are blocked.
Yeah.
You have an excuse.
Over Progi, we do this, we go here, we do what. I'm just like, guys, the roads are closed. Even working, I work from home. They know me.
Yeah.
I work from home.
Yeah.
The entire that period. And then I go, I walk. So in that time, I also go walk around.
So when do you
see
start?
that guys?
When do you start this thing? When do you start this behavior?
In March. In March, that's when the people start walking.
Hey, so 3rd June, like 3 days before.
Okay.
That's like 3 days.
So your boss knows, everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Okay.
And also I'm a really great worker.
Yeah.
So I
That's
can,
okay.
Yeah, even if it wasn't Matters,
Yeah.
I can work
Yeah.
flexibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really nice. Like, and you know what? That thing about like vibrations, me, I'm not a believer, but I swear to you, in that time, I literally feel like there's a positive vibration around. There's a frequency that I never ever feel any other time except maybe Christmas. But Christmas is also just vibes.
Yeah.
This one, like I literally feel, you know,
Like a
it's
spiritual thing.
Like a spiritual thing.
Purity, like
People walking, you know, they walk with their banners and you can see where they're from. And people are walking from Tanzania, people are walking from Lira, people are walking from Hoima, and they've been on the road.
Are you of Namugongo?
I walk there.
Okay.
I thought every day I walk around. I move. They close up because the roads are closed. You leave your car. You just walk around. There's a presence, like you can literally feel a spiritual presence.
Yeah.
Like believers,
Yeah.
that faith, that unquestioned faith.
Yeah.
You're just walking, saying, you guys, you see people looking up in the air like they are seeing things. And I'm sure they are, because I think if you believe,
like it's a spiritual experience.
For those who believe, they will see.
that's what I think so. But because of course for me I don't, I see nothing. But
When do you see things?
She sees the belief. She sees the other spirits. These other ones. Oh, I see.
no, but it's great. So for me, I've been in that. I love it. It's a lovely. It's when I see it approaching, I hated it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I had a son still
Like
to pick from
inconvenience.
school to drop. The first time it happened, I was so confused. I literally had to go dump my child at a friend's home when I was coming back. I was so shocked. No one prepared me.
Yeah.
I kept driving. There was traffic all the way from like the bypass. I just went to Naguru, dumped my son at his best friend's home. I also found covers to go somewhere
As
the first
far?
time. Yeah.
Let's just
And let's move
continue.
on, because
Yeah.
I think the whole episode might be about
Prima, how
understanding
was
those
your
covers.
week?
No, my week was nice. I was super fatigued because I had a lot of back-to-back work.
Okay.
So then I took leave last week, but the leave was also for vibes. Like, that thing of when you're away and you're doing a thing today, tomorrow, there.
Yeah.
So I was super tired.
Yeah.
Then now I came back and you take one
Tell
week
us
of
about our way.
What were you
Birthday,
celebrating?
birthday,
What was going
birthday.
on?
I was waiting for that.
It was not about you, dear.
Oh,
It was not about you.
it was, you were just
I present to you.
Oh, thank you, baby
Happy
girl.
birthday, darling.
Thank you, dear. Wow.
From us.
From us. From
what
from
did-
PJ.
From PJ.
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 From Pudge.
No, when you say PJ, Alan was like,
From the Pudge.
oh,
PJ.
thanks, Pumzi.
You're welcome,
Thank you,
darling.
Thank you. So yes, I was away for birthday vibes and they were so dope. But I came back super tired.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But did you have time to rest now after that when you got back?
A bit. I did those things. So first of all, I work from home, but I don't stay at home. I work from home, but I drive to town every day.
You work remotely, but you don't work
I work
from
remotely,
home.
but I don't work. Excellent.
Okay.
I can't give the microphone what it's doing to me.
Sure, I said, boob, it's okay.
I can never. I work remotely, but I don't work from home. So there is that thing of I drive every day and So this week I decided some days I'll really be at home. So I think that's what has helped me too. Even after PPJ today, I'm going back home.
You're
Like,
going back home?
I imagine the house is so shocked.
Yeah.
They're like, Auntie, I'm back. Yeah, so I'm good.
Okay.
Joel, how are you?
I'm well.
Because from your message of yesterday,
And today,
we are so busy. We can't
All
override.
right. Yeah, I'm dealing with some family things, but I'm managing.
Okay.
I don't
You're managing, yeah?
think-
I'm managing is such an
I'm managing.
African statement.
Yeah, I'm managing. I think because at a certain point, I told you when you asked me, what's been going on?
it's a firstborn son.
2 months ago, I told you I have family things. I can't again be on family things. So I only 2 meetings when I tell you my problems. And afterwards, I say, you know what? Unless you're going to keep pursuing, no. But I'm fine. I'm here. All things considered.
Who's
I'm
going through
progressing.
it with you?
My family.
No. Who's
And my friends.
Your friends?
Yeah, they've really showed up. Actually, to all the people who've, you know yourselves, you've really showed up for me. I think without them, I would have had a mini breakdown, and I'm too big to break down. Who's going to carry me?
That's true.
Yeah, nobody's going to.
A will carry.
No, he's also struggling with his own things.
But
Now
those,
you see
but
people
those
sending
friends who are
messages.
helping you, they're the ones you've invested in.
The other ones in the
No, you know when you said that, someone, you said that someone said to me,
Pay back time.
someone said to me that, when you're going through a hard time, that's when you know who your real friends are. And they said, no one wants to know who their real friends are. It's usually not the ones you want.
Oh!
But for me, it's the ones that I want. It's the people I've invested in. I've really felt carried. I felt buoyed. And I count these people as my family, which is what we're going to be talking about today. But before I get into that, Alan, how goes it? Ate, be careful.
Yeah.
There's a prayer team
Alan,
waiting.
assistant.
Tell us. He's all well.
I'm good. I'm actually fine. I had a good week since we last met. I always had a good perspective on Mother's Day until this year.
Oh,
Yeah, because I had to go shoot a documentary in Chotera. And I didn't make the day when I had to go with the team, but they organized a car just for me the next day.
okay.
And then I drove to Chotera and I saw people walking. Then came back the same next day. I think it was the same group I found. So I realized I never thought about it, but I feel like pilgrimage and poverty collabo.
But that's it.
So
That's one of the reasons.
I've never seen it from that lens.
That's what explained that.
Yeah, because I see people walking from like very long distances. And then the other ones, when they come, they maybe don't have space to sit. But then as the Kampala people don't even walk, they will just drive there. And
it's true. I had a conversation with my partner about the exact same thing. And I told him, let's go on that road every single day until if you find one single rich person or one middle class person, not a single one. They're all poor. Literally all of them walking, doing pilgrimages are poor. It's only the pilgrimage to Mecca where rich people go.
I'm just about to say it's a very
and Israel. The one to Namgongo, it's only poor people. That's it.
Do you have something?
No, I haven't yet given it enough thought. Like
I've lived in Namugongo for 10 years.
Like I haven't thought about it enough.
I have lived in Namugongo for 10 years. I have seen it.
No, so why? Anyway, that will be a conversation for another day. Like in my head, I'm like, I need to think. Like I'm so sure. I've never thought about. Because you know, all these stories you're giving, I've never seen. Do you know when I see the pilgrims on TV when they're there drinking? They're showing. You know what they show on TV? The people who are drinking. Because I don't live in Namugongo, so I've never really seen.
When they tell us there are a million people who showed up.
So now I've never given it enough thought. So now I'm just like. But let's go to the topic.
Middle class and above is in that
anyway.
Yeah, so my perspective is like, so like really messed with it. I'm like, for me, that organized for me a car to go because I couldn't walk that distance. But people are walking and with their kids, with their partners,
and they plan
women
for
are
it.
putting like bags on their heads. And it's nice to see them like on the bypass, right? But if you see them
on the way
300 kilometers away, you're thinking you're like, they don't have money for lodges to sleep where, so they'll sleep.
That's
just
true.
on the
They
road.
sleep, but you see, the government offers them free police protection.
Yeah.
Everywhere they
Here.
sleep. No.
In Kampala, I didn't see
In
any.
Kampala,
I
but they
didn't
only
see
offer it
any
at
escorts.
night.
Yeah.
They only
I didn't
offer
see
it at
any
night.
escorts when we were moving.
yeah
No,
it's
they
been a
do.
complaint.
It's just that most of them actually sleep in. They make their stops churches.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why you don't really see that police whatever, but they are offered.
Yeah, the good thing I learned is like one priest moves them to where the next priest is. So at least they're escorted to like the next, at least that's the only, better than that, it felt like the collab pilgrimage and poverty.
As for collab, that's such a phrase. All right. So today's episode, we're going to talk about something which I am familiar with because of my story of this past week, which is family.
Okay.
But it's about a question that I want to raise for you guys. When I say the word family, what comes to mind? What picture comes to your mind?
Two pictures for me. One picture, of course, from upbringing, mother, father, children.
The nuclear family.
The nuclear family with both parents living together.
Oh, really?
And for me, living together
Not
is
in the scene.
living. No, living together. No, mother, father. I don't think the whole.
Do you think of marriage?
No, for me, no.
It never shows up.
No, for me, it's just the parents and the children that are living together in one home. That is the family, because that's also my experience, right?
Yeah.
That I grew up in a proper two-parent household, male and female, plus as the children. Of course, because of the African context, I also think about a cousin or two here, a cousin or two that you've grown up with. That's family. I've been reading a book called Black Taxman. When you hear South African black tax, I was like, Uganda, we don't have black tax.
Yeah.
Because now for them, I don't have that experience of 17 relatives in the house.
But black tax originated from apartheid.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what they are the kings.
Yes,
of
now
black
for them
tax.
it's that.
Because they literally wanted to keep the colored people poor.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they had that black tax was compulsory.
Yeah.
You had to send.
You have no one else to depend on.
Yeah, so that
for them,
you didn't have any.
Yeah, I don't think about extended family because that's not my experience. I think about mother, father, and like 4, 5 children. Okay, 4 children there. That's what I think about.
You even have a number.
They're like 4, 5. Like if you're
Like 2.
Yeah.
But dear, I
17.
told you I have those stories of in my mother, in my father, but we are 7.
Alan, put that
grew up
picture of
together.
Fima's family.
5.
5.
So why 4? Why does your mind?
Because my brother came 13 years later. So we grew up as 4 girls.
Okay.
So in my head, 4 is the number that will always, So that's what I think about when I think about family. But now the situation changed when we were older. Now when we were older, my parents separated. My dad remarried, right?
Yeah.
So I think the picture I have of family is very different from the picture that my young brother has. Because for him, his experience is not my experience.
How old was he when they separated?
He was still in school.
Oh, he was still in
He
school.
was still in school, but also, separation is not like poor. Separation is a period
You experience
you
it
experience
even
it when they are
within-
still
when they are still
together.
together.
You're still experiencing that.
Yeah.
So now imagine that changed because now my dad remarried. So now you introduce bonus parent. So now I have a
so they were
stepmom.
separated then
Okay.
formal divorce?
4 more.
And that takes a while, yeah.
And that takes a while, yeah. So now imagine now it was a proper, so now I have a stepmom. So now that's also an addition to the family. Now my stepmom had
Do you call
children.
them stepmoms? I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I need to
now
understand this.
yeah.
Is stepmom still a word when you're not a dependent, like when you're not under
No,
their
I call
roof?
her her name.
Okay,
I call her her name. I don't call her anything. I call her Pumla.
great.
Yeah, that's it. And it's very, very but they are sure my brother. He asked anyway, but my brother.
For him, is young.
But he's a grown guy.
And for him it was.
I mean, but by the time she came,
yes, he
wasn't
younger.
he still a
was
child?
As long as I'm in your household.
Yeah. So now I have a stepmom. My stepmom has children. So now those are also now part of our family who are not. My stepmom and my dad have a child. So now that's also now part of our family. So now you understand. So Kati, now I'm
a
like.
parish.
So I'm like, exactly. I'm like, Banange, who's the LC of this village?
Of course it's
Well,
you.
can you understand? So for me, but remember, my stepmom came like when as in, I think, I learned to find like 2015 or like not like I was a proper adult. So for me, the experience is different. But I think about like when we're talking about this thing, I think about my young brother. Because my stepmom, we meet and we are vibes, but I love her. We meet and I also love my mother very much. Because when I say I love her, they're like, what about your mother? I love my
One doesn't have
One
to
doesn't.
remove
Yes,
the other.
yes.
Love is a public good.
Exactly. But okay.
Yeah, consumption of
There are many things we can say there, but
take away from the existence or use of others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me,
Economics 101.
thanks. So we are tight with her. But then now I think about my brother because I've never had to like my brother would be visited by my mom, then he's visited by my dad, then sometimes he's visited by my stepmom, sometimes he's visited by my stepmom and my dad. Then you understand. So for him, his concept is you understand. Like so for me, I think family started as just this one unit. Then now I've come to appreciate the fact that family can mean so many different things, and I am very intentional about saying like my siblings from my stepmom are my family. You understand?
siblings from your- okay.
Yeah, it's different because I didn't grow up with them, but they're my family.
But you get along.
Completely.
How old?
Completely. One is 22.
Okay.
The other one is younger, but I'm mostly closer to the one who's 22. So even there, the relationship has to be developed. But now family has completely, like family is just, yeah, so that's it.
So it's interesting that you said that, and you're also married.
Yeah.
Do you think of that as your family? When I say the word family, do you think of Shandante? Because you immediately went to family of
Oh
origin.
yeah. I always go to family of origin.
Yeah.
Now for me and Mr. K. Now that one I was thinking about it and I was like, because
That's your
in my
pastor.
head
Yeah.
it's mother, father, children. Here it is girlfriend and wife. That's where
With the government involved.
Yeah.
With the government involved.
Yeah, with the government involved. So for me, of course, he's the most immediate family.
Yeah.
He's the most immediate family. But why in my head when I think because it's just us, I'm just like, it's me and my person.
Yeah.
Like we are.
It actually looked like I just brought it up now, the way you're talking.
Yeah,
You said
I've
you had
never
two
done-
images, so I thought you were going to mention that.
No.
But
The two
then-
images I had were parents living
And then the
together and
extended,
then
yeah.
the extended. This other one of me and my lover. That one is just us living together as lovers.
Imagine. And yet, I wish we would live in a world where, so for me, I know that your nuclear family, in a marriage, for example, that is your family.
Yeah.
Like if somebody asks you,
That's
what do you think of family? I would think that your mind should automatically go there. But because I feel like it was indoctrinated in us a long time ago that family looks like mother, father, and children, our minds automatically go there.
100%.
But for homes where they are the mother and there is a father and children, their minds usually automatically go to their
Theirs,
families.
100%.
Yeah, because that's what you've been told.
Yes.
If there are not children in the home,
100%.
then, and even the other way, now like I'll share a story. Even I, who lives with my son, That's a family.
But do you think about it that way?
No, but when I was married, I thought about it that way. When I was married with a child, if someone asked me family, I wasn't thinking about my mother and father who I left in Bulova.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my husband and my child and me.
Yeah.
This is our family.
Yeah.
But when I transitioned to a single mom looking after a child, when you ask me about my family, I've dialed back.
Yeah.
I also now I don't think about me and Teja, but me and Teja is my family.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The other ones are an extension of
Agreed.
us. This is my real family. And I will share a story. I remember when my son, Teja, this was about 11 years ago, he was in kindergarten. And they came back with calorie. Kindergarten. That one was called, what was it called? It was kindergarten, but nursery school. They didn't have the word nursery.
Okay.
My nurseries of these days are like those schools of SSS.
For pre-primary.
Yeah.
They want to know where they...
It was kindergarten. But is there a difference when it comes to...
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is there?
Anyway, I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, he was in kindergarten. He was maybe 5 years old. And he brought back coloring assignment. Yeah. So already you have a picture where they've drawn, and then you have to color the family. So it was called My Family. And there was a mother, father, son, daughter, everybody holding hands. There was a house behind them and a fence, picket fence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he brought the homework and they said color, he colored, and I looked at it, and he was he really colored badly. Like he colored all outside the lines. He made a mess out of the assignment. But I didn't even think about that. That came later. It was more of, first of all, that's not my family. Because my family was the title.
Yeah.
That's not my family. That's not your family.
Yeah.
And
at that time, it was just you and him?
At that time, it was just me and him. Okay. I only lived in that home for 2 years. Yeah. With him for 1.
Okay.
Imagine. Okay. So even him, he has no recollection of mom and dad together. It does not exist in his world.
Yeah.
But when he's coloring, I'm saying, okay, I understand the intention behind this. But again, everyone was holding hands. But number one, you don't have a sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my family picture has a sister, a girl.
Yeah.
You're holding her hand.
Yeah.
Your mother and father don't live together.
That's right.
There's a house at the back with a picket fence. Please note that drawing also had a dog.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
We have no dogs.
Yeah.
The title is still My Family.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at him and saying, I don't want to remove the essence of what is being taught here. Beautiful. Because I firmly believe that there's a reason why mothers and fathers and children have to exist together. There's a reason. But there should also be a place for permission to think beyond that, to not feel like if this is not how my family looks like, I don't have a family. I'm not in a family. And I always have to dial back to my family of origin, regardless of what's going on. Yeah. But now imagine my son's family of origin already looks different. Yeah. And you're conditioning him to think, to aspire for a family that he's not living in now, because two things are happening. You're making him aspire for a certain kind of family, which is all right. But if he doesn't get it, then it means he's failed. Yeah. Number one. And then two, you're showing him
where he is.
Feel like what he has right now, his reality is not family.
Somehow lacking.
Is lacking.
Yeah.
That was Friday when the homework came. When I drove to school on Monday, I told him, dear Carla, well done, great job. Yeah. You get a white star. We went to school together on Monday. I asked the teachers, I told them, actually, but in that place, I was like, I didn't know how to approach it. Parenting is tricky. Sometimes you don't have the words to articulate, but I was like, let me talk to the adult. Maybe she can give me, the principal was a lady. So Monday I went, of course, I usually just drop my son. I go away. My son saw me opening, hey, mommy, you're coming with me. Yeah. I said, no, I just want to talk to the principal. I went and had a conversation with the principal, very lovely lady, and explained exactly that. And I was telling her, I understand your intention. I don't want to take away from the foundation of family values because I know what that brings to the table. I understand that even if I'm at home, I'm not going to be here shouting on rooftops and saying, guys, it is okay to be a single mother, because it is not.
Yeah.
It is not.
Yeah.
But if that's
I
the
have a question
reality,
about that, but first-
if that's the card that you have been dealt,
Yeah.
that is it. And then you must be able to, you can't leave that statement blanket like that. You must be able to tell people that, fine, you're a single mother and a son, or single mother and a daughter or children, but what are you doing to cover the gap? Because there is a gap.
Yeah.
So there must be some intentionality in covering the gap. Hence, that ideal picture of mother, father, children.
Yeah. So the
but
spirit behind it is
the spirit
good,
behind it is
but-
great. But what are we teaching? Is there a way we can balance? Please, no, that lady, I was so happy. Of course, me, I just taken Maika Janja.
Yeah.
She said, you know what, Mami Teja? So I told them, so me, I came with my solution. I said, can't you give these kids, fine, if you want to keep this going, it's all right. But can't you give these kids a paper? I know maybe they're too young to draw, but let them draw what they know their family is.
Yeah.
And then they can explain to you, because at this point, could they write? I can't remember if they could write. No, I don't think so. Then they explain to you what they've drawn, and then you can label for them.
Yeah.
Because the other picture comes labeled.
Yeah.
She said, you know what, maybe we can consider that. I honestly thought she was just managing my expectations, because I mean, I'd already paid school fees.
Yeah.
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 I left. The next Friday, guess what? But this one, they did it from home. They sent back kids and they brought back papers, drawn.
Yeah.
My son drew mommy, daddy, who were not holding hands.
Yeah.
And he was there in the middle, Gateja.
Beautiful.
End of discussion.
Beautiful.
I felt so, like, I was like, Tej, are you happy? Is this what you see family as? And I'm telling him because the other homework, he left it.
Yeah.
So I was like, when you look at this family and you look at this family, do you think that there's a difference?
Yeah.
And he said, no. But of course, for him, he's privileged in the sense that his mom is not entirely a single mom. His father is very, very present in his life.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the child whose mother died, whose father ran away.
Yeah.
Who has never
Yeah,
seen
the father's
one
always
parent.
around.
Yeah, the father, the mother,
The
for the mother not to be there.
The
she
mother
died.
runs away.
For the mother not to be there, she must have. I'm thinking about a
my
child
cousin.
who is being raised by grandparents.
Yes.
And imagine when I went back to school on Monday, I went back again because now I was giving feedback. I went back and I said, teacher, I can't remember teacher. Can't remember her name. I was like, thank you so much. Do you know what she said?
Yeah.
She said that was one of the most holistic classes we've ever had, because people drew do you know that there's a child who drew himself and a dog? Full stop. And of course, you're not going to question the 5-year-old, who is the other. And she said that there's a child who that child drew a dog and a maid. Auntie, so and so.
Yeah.
But that auntie was the house girl. The maid. I went to learn later that the parents are never in the country.
Yeah.
That child, that is what family
their
meant
family, yeah.
to
That's their
them.
family,
yeah.
There are people who are present. And that's what I also believe. I believe family ideally is love, support, presence.
Yeah.
necessarily
So
blood.
whatever, yeah, presence, yeah.
Anything else outside that, it's not cookie cutter uniformity of this is what one size fits all. And going forward, imagine, that's how they teach. They taught, at least from when I was there, I don't know if something changed. Kindercare, that's how now they teach people how to, I don't know if they do the other part, but they always give them a paper and ask them to draw and explain who your families are. Some people it's just grandparents, some people it's uncles, some people it's pets in the home, some people just draw themselves as the kids.
Yeah.
That's for them, that's what.
Me, myself, and I.
That's amazing.
So for me, I also believe family that because I grew up in I was in a bubble of 2-parent household, I was exposed, and my parents, I've said this before, my parents exposed us to only those families.
Oh, yes.
It's only in the university, I didn't have a single friend whose family looked different than ours, because my parents intentionally
People were not
led us there. Let me tell you, no, I didn't have those people, you guys.
At least come and let someone have a parent who died. They are all together living.
Everyone was living together in the home.
Still married?
Yes. And let me tell you, my mom even came to tell me, and after this conversation, I went back to my mother. And I was like, but mom, how is it possible? Now this is university, when now I'm now gathering, like wondering what's going on. People, no one has a father. My father would come to Africa Hall and people would be like,
All their fathers at Africa Hall.
I'm like, but that's a responsibility of a father. I'm like, I was so confused by people praising the presence of fathers.
Because your father
Like, that is what he's supposed to, not his job. He gave birth to me. Did I ask you to come here?
Yeah.
He gave birth to me. He was the one who wanted me to be. So he has a responsibility to look after me and be able to just come and visit me. Oh, hello, Pumla, I'm here in the car park. Have money. Come and do this. Come and we blast. We go for lunch. We come back. And I'm like, but that's what fathers are supposed to do. So I asked my mom, how is it that it took me 18 years to see different kinds of families? She said, Pumla, even those families, did you realize that their families were cut off as you were growing up?
Yes,
Yeah.
they cut them off.
Where the man now goes and gets another woman.
They are like, we've child.
And leaves this one.
Yeah.
My mother will tell my father, we are sorry, that's the last time. We are not going for that function.
Was she, sorry to ask a question, was it because she felt like that's bad influence?
Bad
You guys were just,
She said that those were not their values. That's not a good value system. But
Really?
okay, the reason, the ones they cut off were not the ones who died. Again, I can't think of anyone who my parents had, and the parents died when we
Yeah,
were
but
kids
that
growing up.
something bad
I don't
happened and there
know.
was a
The only
separation.
ones they cut off who we were very, very close to
Yeah.
are the men who got other women.
Yeah.
And me, my mother was like, that's not our value system.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather flock together. You know, my father, because those were my father's friends. Then my those days,
was making shepherds, cottage pie.
yeah.
Cottage pie.
My father liked his wife so much. When my mother said, we are not going for that much, my father couldn't go anywhere by himself. That was the real
I
issue.
can really see him just
so my mother
moving around
was
the
not
house.
saying we're not hanging around those people. My mother would say, me, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For my father, he would also just stay at home.
So it's strategic exit.
Strategic.
You had a question for her.
I had
About the thing.
I had a question for you about whether you consider yourself a single mom. First, drink
a
some.
drink.
And the reason I'm asking is because you're not together with the person, but then the person is present, right?
Yeah.
So you're there, but he's also there 100% playing his
You're
role.
just not
and
together.
what I seem to get is that there is responsibility on, like, the co-parenting is
Yeah.
working, right?
Yeah.
So where you have a situation, and there are many people that's really
Yeah.
happening these days. So where you have a situation where you have parents that are not together, but they
Yeah.
are co-parenting perfectly.
Yeah.
Do those parents still remain single? Like, do you still say, I'm a single mom, I'm a single dad?
Yes. Ideally, it is Ugandans and Africans, because we glorify suffering, we have tagged the single mother to finances,
Okay.
mostly.
Okay.
So when we say single mom, we take it like,
There is no
imagine
support
I don't
for
have
the
support.
man. Yeah.
That is what for them they term as single
Yeah.
parenting.
Yeah.
But being a single mom, yet in the real definition of the word,
Yeah.
I am a single mom.
Or
But in the
because-
African sense of the word, I'm not.
Your definition is that we call someone single because they don't have a partner that they're in relationship with, or have a legal obligation to each other. Is that what you're saying?
No, my singleness.
The ideal, but you're saying that in your side, it's support. It doesn't have to be legal.
Yeah, but okay, again, because people tie it a lot to finances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, I've said it before, I've never paid school fees for my child.
Yeah.
He's 16.
Yeah.
People look at finances first, but if I tell you that raising a child by yourself, regardless, because I would manage to pay for him fees.
But Pumla,
Raising
you
a child
him
by yourself.
because you're raising him,
You
but dad
have
is
to.
raising.
How? Where?
Yeah,
Dad is not-
it's
how
easy,
is he
easy.
raising him?
Yeah, when I go
it's
and visit,
always easy. And you
easy,
see,
okay.
when the men remarry, when he remarries, if any, actually me, I'm thankful, because when my son's father remarried, he became more present in his life. He became more grounded and more present.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, he's with me.
Yeah.
As I'm the dominant parent.
Okay.
I'm
That
the
I get
primary
it.
parent.
I get
I am the decisions are on me. We don't
Yeah.
have these discussions of
There's no
bounce
tiebreaker.
back.
I
There
get
is
it.
no tiebreaker.
Okay, that's
No,
fine.
but the papers we signed, I'm the tiebreaker. I'm the one who decides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The papers we signed, but it never comes to that because he knows I'm the one with the.
So meaning we should take this whole idea, because in my head when we say single mom, yeah, we have such a limited view. Like when people say they are single moms,
But-
you're just thinking of, I'm a single mom. There is no, I don't know what.
Because of that suffering,
Yeah.
Africans just like, they want you to be suffering for them to give you an identity. Like, if your identity is separate from suffering, then that's not the
So Pumla, what would happen if you have a child who's 1 week here, 1 week there,
That's why.
and those children are there? Is any of them a single
It's
parent?
still single parenting.
Because when you're not with
It is.
me,
When you're not
when
with
you're
me,
with me,
I'm doing the
I'm
parenting
seeing
by myself.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
As long as there's a point where you're doing the parenting myself.
By
Let me
yourself.
tell you, even those ones who are in long distance relationships,
Yeah.
they are single
Hey,
parents.
banange tables are shaking.
Yeah, people who are in long distance relationships. Let me tell you, even the ones who are living together and the man is not there.
I was about to say, there are many people who have both parents
Yeah.
in, like those
Yeah.
people who
Yeah,
drew
as
those.
long as there's no presence
and they said,
from
oh, the
one
dog
parent.
and
Single
our help.
parent.
Got it.
Whether it's gorgeous,
Pumla, I just had a section A question.
me, but let's add the same.
You've got section B.
Wait,
But yeah, no, I'm seeing now she has over entered. She's now like people who are in long distance marriages
Even
are there.
long-distance
correct.
marriage.
People who are in the non-present. Section A. Yeah.
They like to say, let's FaceTime your father. We are going to talk to your father and he's going to punish you. You're
I know, as for that punishment, go to the naughty corner.
You're on FaceTime.
You're like, I'm going.
I'm going. Okay, I'm telling you. How can you
Because I'm in the naughty corner, Daddy.
People are so mad.
Because people are so annoyed by this can be forgive us.
But I have a question there. Because everything we've been
But
saying,
what's your idea of family?
my idea of family has evolved. Before it used to be family of origin.
I still can't get over. I'm going to punish you.
When I see you,
talk to your son. Talk to your son.
You! Anyway, so what's your idea?
actually your father used to scare you from just being in the living room. Like, I'm not going to do
Even now when you
anything.
talk
From
about
distance,
it, my first-
Even that when on the
Yeah.
phone, when you kneeling, when he called you, you say powerful. No, my idea of family, actually, when you say family, there are many faces that people wouldn't. It's not just kin.
And I took me a minute, I was like, it's not just one.
It's not just kin.
Yeah.
There are people for whom, if
I
something
think of
went wrong,
Kinsman. I think of 8 years African Traditional Society.
that's where I'm going.
Homestead.
Yeah,
I think
those
of, can you call Pumla's beautiful house that we visited a homestead? That's our home.
It's a
Homestead is in Villa.
Just stay home. But I used to think I think that economic situations force you to almost have a nuclear family. For a time when I was living with my family, the extended family, it's because we're outside of Kampala. Now, because of that, it's
When was
normal
that?
for you to be from P4 to about P5. My parents were not around.
Okay.
So they were like, you're going to stay with your cousins, what? And so in that time, I felt, hey, everything is communal here, everything is shared here. And I was the odd person out. That stuff of this is mine, they'll be like, as in, what do you mean it's yours? We're all using it. And even when I posted something on my status sometime of like, I think when you're in trouble, it's your, I don't like the wording, but it's like, poor people will help you more than your rich friends. In that time, the amount of what they were giving to support me coming into the home was much greater than anything that I was going to get, because originally my parents were like, stay with uncle so and so, you know, those friends, family friends, stay with this person, what, and they had so much. But to give you that so much, it was like pulling teeth. They're like, by the way, do you know we are helping you? And then someone also has much less. It's like, no, I'm going to help you out. Because now you may call it struggle, but me, I think it's like you know that this community is not one that I can afford to just shut out. Yeah. My survival is based on all of us having, it's a way of life. But city life, you can stay in an apartment block and not ever know your neighbor. Why? In fact, when you come and say hi, people are like, as in, what are you doing? And I think it's just a virtue of the way we live. So,
Unless you're one of us.
No, you who
are looking for
trying to convert
ourselves.
Trying to get
we
numbers.
Go to our numbers to influence the community.
And get numbers.
So we go, not really, but we go to our neighbors.
So for me, the ideal of family has never been what I am in. So for a
That was
while,
just 1 year,
so
yet
for a
you
while,
have 20 you have
it was
20
2
years with-
It was
okay.
2 years, but those 2 years were very impactful.
Okay.
Because I then felt like, oh, when I got back to, home, I realized, yeah, my dad provides, but he's not around to ask me questions on, are you fine? These things that like she was mentioning of, oh, this is what's happening with your homework. They didn't know.
Yeah.
They just went, are you okay? So outside, I never lacked for material. But in terms of structure and this is how I should guide you, this is who will talk to you about sex, this is who you're going to talk to when you're confused. No, in fact, I will talk to my uncle and aunt sooner, even from that time period. And those cousins, we eventually grew apart, but just by virtue of the way we're living together, I said, oh, this is what it is. So for me, family is obligations and the fact that we are trying to mutually make each other better. But there are those for whom you can do it just with money. Money can cover for a lot of what you should be giving in presents. I can just give money.
What did Pumla say? We said love, support, and presence.
Yeah.
So for me, family.
So even the maid, she gives you love,
Yes.
support, and presence.
I was going to say, how come we don't add? Because from most homes, if you have especially a living maid, that's someone who is part of nurturing your home, who's supporting you as a mother.
Because they are not
we're not saying that
static,
you're not
change.
in. Yes,
No,
they
for
change.
me,
But you can also change spouses.
Yeah, but the other person stops being your family.
But you see what she mentioned? She was saying her father changed spouses, and that change doesn't mean that new person isn't part of the home, or the old person isn't.
I hear what.
I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying how we think about it. Like we stop, like when you come to Christmas, and they say, "Oh, we're coming for church," and then the maid is outside
No, you know-
the person who's raising your child is also excluded, yet they have the most intimate. You were talking about how you cannot let certain things like a product say, I'm going to now show these are the things in my bedroom. It's very intimate to bring people there. But these people who live in our homes come into the most intimate spaces. You trust them with the most intimate, the most important people in your life, and yet they're sometimes treated as just a vocational worker.
Yeah. No, you've really, really made me think about it, because remember, I already started with, for me, my mind goes to
Family of origin.
family of origin. Also, right now in my home, it's me, my husband, and two people that have.
Please say the name of that.
Joel.
A guy is called Joel. So every time Joel comes home, he's like, "Who are you calling?" So and two people that have been with us for such a long time. Yeah, the lady has been with us for 6 years.
Wow.
6 years, and the guy has been with us for 4 years now. And I can tell you that in my head now, after this love, support, that's my family.
That's family.
Like in life, you understand, like the other day actually, you know that stuff of quarreling. First of all, me, I never quarrel, you haven't done this, you haven't done this. Like me, in my head, when I actually think about the person, like when I think about especially the lady,
Yes.
I keep saying, in this house,
Yeah.
the people responsible for this family and this
Yeah.
we are two like this. You understand? Like, never think about the men. Like, you understand? Like, don't think about, like, you know, when you're thinking about, because sometimes it's like, well, then he did, but I'm like, you know, the people responsible for this home, we are two like this. You understand?
Yeah.
So the way I think about, like, how I can be, and I'm like, Manang, look at the pictures. I need to also think like that, you see it? So, like, that is...
But she's your wife.
100%. I keep telling her, when you go there...
You're in a
polygyny.
What are you
We are
calling
going.
Andre? Why-
Yeah,
what-
but I've seen
Yeah.
a number of homes that do recognize, that do include their households in their.
But I think, like you say, of course, there's a balance, because there's a thing of they keep changing. But then I think if you've had them for a long time, it also calls to relationship. If there's space.
So part of why I raised this point is I think in the 2024 census, they found like, I think 34% of households are technically single parent households, and it's women heading up those households. In that they're the ones responsible for the material needs, the emotional needs, everything like that, right? So that's 34%. And then there are so many other diverse types. There are female-headed households. On our Insta page, we put a question on, like, what do you think of as family? And the most common answer were women saying, by the way, my auntie are the ones who raised me. They're the ones who took me to school. I would think of them first. But the other question was, okay, do you think society will see that as an ideal situation? It's always qualified. You feel like Alan is there.
It's
Uncle
the aunts.
men, we need to do better.
Please, sisters.
But also the gene of nurture. Are you
Yes,
guys?
it's nurturing.
Let's be fair. Let's be honest. I know we want to. There's an ideal world we want to live in.
Where
And
men are also
appreciate it.
equally, but yeah.
Where men and women, we are the same, doing the same things, but we are not the same.
not.
We are by nature, and you can fight for me, you can do what, but the sword of nature is feminine.
Yeah.
Men have to cultivate it.
Yeah. So do we also have to
And even
cultivate
some
that?
women have to
Everyone cultivates.
You say the what? Sword or what sword?
It is I'm looking for the word. How you have,
But that's
the fiber.
Yeah.
That fiber of nature, the trait
Yes,
is the one I was
yeah.
looking for, of nature. You find comes easier to most women, not all.
Yeah.
And also to some men.
That's why we want
Not
men-
all.
Yeah.
But then you want to do this shift. Then you start asking questions like, how come the man ran out? How come okay, let's teach responsibility, because we're all adults and we
Yes,
must be responsible for our decisions. But to be fair, that yearning to nurture and take care and look after
That's true.
comes more naturally in more women than it does men.
Yeah.
Even if the traits exist in both of us.
does.
It does.
It does. I'll tell you, my niece came and lived with us for a while last year. And I could not, you understand, like there are places, like I couldn't, like there are times when I'm like, I need to go, Makeda is at home. Like you understand, like in my, you understand, like now my child was at home.
Okay.
Mr. K, you know, would be at a party and then I'm like, I need to go. He's like, where are we going? I'm like, because Makeda is at home.
Can I ask you a question about that?
As in I think he has forgotten.
It's like she was.
Yeah.
saying. But my question for you is this, right? Two things. Just, this is where I'd say that, to be fair, we need to expect way more. Because when we do that, to be fair, what's happening is Andrew doesn't have to think about that because you're thinking about it. But trust me, if you are not there, whether it is hard or not, he would have to, and I would judge him just as harshly because you have someone that you're in charge of.
For sure.
So, like with me, for instance, when I talk about my father a lot of the time, if you meet my dad, he is not the kind of person where he's going to be like, let me now put you here. But he has nurtured us. He has nurtured us, but he's
And buildings and roads.
and the reason he's able to do that in truth is because he's socially rewarded for doing that. If he were to do the things that we expect, say, oh, this is what women do, he's skating up a social sort of steep hill. So I think what you're saying is men are not going to be expected of that. They're not expected.
No.
When they start to
It's
do
harder.
those things,
I like to use this example. If you're in a home and there's a man and a woman in the home and you hear noise outside,
The woman.
will anyone talk about the woman hiding under the bed?
Of course not. But if that man,
Exactly, because the trait of protection is more to protect.
Why is the trait of protection? Why isn't it the trait of provision? Leave us to protect
I
ourselves.
can also go there.
They're the trait of provision.
You know the reason why women started to provide?
Yeah,
it
because
was
the
not
men-
for themselves.
Yeah,
it was for their children.
Yeah.
If there were not children existing in this world, I swear to you, many women would be dead.
Yeah.
When men went to war.
Yeah.
Because that's how this thing all evolved. It wasn't that there's a man who was irresponsible and said, me have gone. No.
Yeah.
This whole turnaround started because there was a time when there was war. Civil wars, these world wars,
Yeah.
and women had
Even
to
though they're in
fend.
Uganda,
Not
that's
for
why, yeah.
themselves, not... They were fending for themselves because they had to protect their children. So provision and protection, women, we cultivated that trait in ourselves to protect and provide for our dependents. Because again, nurture. You
Yeah.
cannot nurture without providing, without protecting.
Yeah.
Men, on the other hand, like me, my mother went away to do her PhD. She did her PhD for over 8 years and left my father there. And I'll tell you, my father was the best mother. He was the greatest mother. But I tell you, my father was also a great mother, even when his wife was there. But because it was her territory, he left her to do the other thing.
But when she went.
But let me tell you, and he didn't even need any transition time.
Yeah.
He showed up immediately like a mother would. Like the gap was felt emotionally.
Yeah.
But physically, he was there. Presence, his support, love, he was there.
let me turn to
We expect highly of men, but we need to cut them some slack. The same way I want men to cut me slack.
Yeah.
I want men to cut me slack.
Yeah.
Me, I can't change a cut tire.
Yeah.
I believe it's a man's job to do it.
Yeah.
I am never ever going to open the bonnet to start checking things in my car.
Yeah.
And no one is going to shame me for it. Yeah.
No, Pamela, I think what the point is, that whole thing you were saying earlier, that you can hold two truths in tension. Two things that are true. Two things can be
Sounded
true.
like what the theory
Yes,
does.
It's true.
They are true.
That is true.
They are the members of my time. You know this statement.
What is it?
Dialectic. All right.
Spell that for the community.
But dialect, I know, is the same language. But
yes, dialect comes from dialogue because two different people having a conversation. I think to the point I'm trying to.
I'm still saying my point.
Hey, the point was continue.
So two truths in tension. So the fact that women are natural nurturers does not take away, like you were saying, that most women.
Some women are not about that life.
There's a book I read where the chick was like, "Munyam, I don't want to have children." But so
it's okay.
It's okay. You can naturally be a nurturer, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it's your responsibility to take care of your offspring.
That's true.
And of your. So they are both true.
I agree.
Trying to learn from that is you see.
So now we came from why not the uncle?
No, where I'm trying to.
Where we know
It's a very good
I was not
question.
on why not the father. I was on the uncle.
Yes. It's a very good
the
question.
father. Whose responsibility
it is responsible. But for example, now for
I was
me,
on the uncle.
I'm like, my nieces and nephews are my children. You understand?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, when I think about my sister's children, those are my children. You understand? Like, I'm just like, oh my God. I don't think my husband thinks like that. He's an uncle. But I don't think, I think naturally, you understand, like, he'll be happy to have them around, but I don't think that he carries the same responsibility.
Or even men, when they find out that the 5 children they were raising are not theirs from DNA, they are so quick to cut them off.
Women, women, yet one for us when you bring for us.
Yet for us, when you bring for us your DNAs that you gathered around, we look after. It is the difference in the sexes.
When you're saying I have to be married, like earlier, just to condense the point. When you're saying I'm going.
Wama, let me tell you, this whole week, actually, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month
is
now.
dying.
I'm not dying.
Joel,
Dying.
every time he sends a message in the group, he has to disclaim. You guys, I will not be available to talk for the next 3 business days. Maybe Alan can help us in this and that. He comes, he writes 1 sentence, does a voice note. You're not given time to respond.
All of that was today.
I'm so stressed. I'm so distressed. We have so many struggles. We know we have to. So when we came here, I told him. So in the WhatsApp group, we were telling him, "Banange, take a chance to drink some water." So I was trying to explain to him that the only people they tell those things of breathe and take a moment are women and single men only.
Well, at least ideal.
So we are on the hunt to look for a mate for this young Joel.
Yeah.
Because imagine me.
Not so young.
I'm not quite young and healthy and fun.
Yeah.
We even told him to open his legs in this episode so that he can sell himself to you. Yeah, so that you can sell yourself to the people. Because now he's putting all his stress on us. We are the ones telling him drink water, don't forget it. He came here for this shoot.
I thought this was my family that would love me.
He came here for this shoot without eating. And then he had to eat by himself. As we are full, we are.
Who tells us in the butter, add some garlic, put it, and then put that.
Did you just take care of me?
Anyway,
you
Joel
know?
needs a helper.
Did you know that?
Yeah, Joel needs.
If you're out there and you can understand this is the book he's reading. This is the book he's reading. It is called The Powers.
She has her mother's laugh.
And potential.
It's
of
called She Has
heredity. If you can understand this title, please apply.
Yes,
he's here. Free. Take help.
The powers, perversions of heredity.
So after that Kalango, I wanted to say socially.
So you do see yourself as a family, your own self there where you are.
Of course.
So one of the things I had someone told me was part of my own healing and growth is I might identify as multiple. Anyway, let's continue. That I have to both be child and parent at sometimes to myself. Because it's a function. And when you're saying that your father has been a mother to you, I think of those things as not just the content of the biology of those people, but it's a function, it's a responsibility, it is an orientation that you give to people. Yeah. So different people can mother you, different people can father you, etc. But the point I was going to come to is, now imagine the things we're saying. We are important people in the society. Someone here was talking to the governor of the Bank of Uganda, and they were like this, hey, what it is? And us were like, I don't know when can I get some T-bills, but it's okay. Someone else was speaking at a very powerful legal conference, structuring the lives of people. But I was trying to say that if you have attitudes like the attitudes we have are going to be important, because if we are setting together policy and we say this is your family, for instance, when I try to get my parents onto my health insurance. Now, I work for a South African company of origin, and it's a little bit closer to the nuclear family breakdown. But about 4 different countries, rest of Africa, have appealed to say, just give me 4 members that I can put on my health insurance scheme, rather than saying it has to be my wife and my children, because I have my aunt, I have my grandmother, I have this. And at that point, I don't enjoy those benefits, which in principle, they say they are giving to me. Yeah. But I can't extend to that. So I was just thinking now, for instance, social welfare. I read in the Daily Monitor that Uganda is one of, I think, the bottom 10 countries when it comes to social welfare, especially for when you're aging. So even when parents reach a certain age, the expectation is you are going to take care of them, you as a working person, at a time when your salary is also not going as far as it's supposed to be going. So you mentioned the pilgrims and...
that thing about insurance, I've just thought about it. So I work for an organization that's affiliated, not really inside, but affiliated with one of those organizations where they pay school fees for children, right? So they pay for school fees for up to 4 children. Okay. But they have to be your children that you birthed, biological children. Okay. So of course now there are 2 questions.
Or adopted.
or adopted.
Okay.
Either birth or adopted,
Adopted.
legally,
Legally
right? So they're
adopted.
actually your children.
Yeah.
So now, of course, the question is always, now as we don't have children, what benefit can we get? Of course, that's a different question. But then the question I never thought about is, now me who takes care of children that are not my children, why shouldn't I also benefit from this?
This is true.
Yeah. So
This is true.
Yeah.
So,
Actually.
for the person who you're going to hook me up with, one of the things that I really liked about this book, which is she has her mother's laugh. It's a discussion of how heredity, how genetics, all of that comes together. But it's told through the story of this gentleman and his wife who had 4 children. And their 4th child, just before that child was born, they went to, go and get a health insurance program and whatnot for them to have the child in hospital. But when they tested the DNA, they found that it wasn't matching. So the guy started saying, hey, did you sleep with someone else? No. The child had his DNA but didn't have the mother's DNA. And they said, how is that possible? Only to find that these things are approximations. They are general approximations. Like we carry so much from our family trees that you might be carrying what they call a chimera. A chimera. Meaning CHIMERA. That. So it would be something like
nakomyo kutegera.
At heredity, I saw you.
yes.
I saw you. They said
We are moving.
heredity.
Don't worry. Stay with me. It's going to land. Now, where they said she has her mother's laugh, is they're talking about there are things that you inherit from different people in your family that go beyond the biological. Yeah. Some things like mental orientation, things like appearance. So in the same family, you might even have siblings, because this is now a case that has gone all the way to the US Supreme Court, where they're talking about you can have a child who doesn't necessarily share your DNA, because they actually saw her give birth to the child. They said this person came from my body, this person this is their father, but we don't share DNA like all the other children. So this is still my child. So using
Still that
DNA
child. Maybe
as
they
the same
exchange
thing.
children.
They really tried all those
No,
things,
but
but they
if
said
there's a DNA of
we said the
man.
DNA of the father. So
Oh,
that
there's
means
a
he must
DNA
have
of the
slept with
man.
someone
DNA of the
else.
man.
How is that possible?
Okay.
And the child also has DNA of other relatives on the mother's side. So they're like, but not her. And they were like, so these things are general approximations, but because legally things have been so rigid and stuck in time, from a long time ago, these things seem almost like they're set in stone. And the argument they're making here is like what you're saying. How do you start to say, no, the person I consider my family is this, I'm taking care of my niece, my nephew. I'm looking at my aunt and saying, no, that person should get health insurance. It should be able to serve us, not us contorting ourselves to this ideal structure. So when I was thinking about you, for instance, sir, you told us, you told us a story of how essentially you are raising quite a number of people in your family. But have you felt any support in those extended members of your family? Like structurally, I've always felt like when you speak about your family, at least when I'm talking to you, you mention your mom, you mention your brother, and then that line. You mention your children, but then you also mention other people for whom you feel a responsibility for. So I feel like if you were a minister, maybe you would change some of those things.
First thing I would change if I'm a minister is I would cancel the whole pilgrimage thing. But
I thought you would give them cars. What do you mean?
and also to add with the chimera, I recently read something about sometimes.
Like as soon as Joel said chimera, all of a sudden,
No.
I feel as soon as
He's been with me for a while.
No, when they put him the A, when we started putting the A in the PPG, he became a different person. I don't understand. That camera is about to face
He's
me.
associated, yeah.
That camera is about to face
But I had a case of some people are twins, but maybe your twin doesn't fully develop when you're in the stomach. So you might find yourself carrying eggs which are not yours, but the eggs are for the person who would have been your twin. So if you check the DNA of the parent, sometimes the kid is not yours, it's for your twin who maybe some people say you ate.
It's a thing. It's one of the chimera cases.
Yeah. Anyway, so family, for me, it's crazy. Of course, me losing our father at a very young age, so we didn't have that.
We are
thing
back.
you come from a
of
proper,
no,
properly
but
female led.
Yeah, but it's funny because I was raised by an orphanage that was helping single women.
Yes.
So we grew up in a place whereby we are all orphans, where we all didn't have. So like for a long time, from primary all the way to secondary, we were in a place whereby having someone who had a dad for us, the school was free. So for them, if they paid, they would come and do that. So we grew up. It's very, very fine. Your situation, not dad, because your friend has not dad, has not dad. Some even doesn't have a mom, so we might laugh at that one. This was, we have one to go. But how that affected me.
These jokes are
So,
tough.
so you were actually structurally helped from a young age, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Structure. I also helped by person leading the organization was a woman also. So it was like women.
Was the orphanage a religious base?
Yes, religious.
Christian?
Yeah, Christian women.
Okay.
Help us, something like that. Yeah, so it became weird
Well, with the
later
church
on.
friends.
Like for you, when at 18 you met people actually who didn't have. Me, it was the opposite.
People
Like,
have.
I couldn't be friends with a guy who was a father because in my head I'm like, so what? So actually that's why meeting Joel's dad is always very exciting because it's like my only chance to meet someone who is like a dad. So I actually don't know how to act around fathers. Yeah. Like I know how to act around women because I know how to manipulate women. Like be nice, smile.
He
be a
meant
child.
engage, relate with
Yeah,
women.
that one is it's no, I'm saying with older women who are mothers, it's nice. It's like it's
Oh, it's
easy.
like how a child manipulates their mom.
Yes, like I was the first in class.
Yeah.
When I came back, my shirt is clean.
Kubanga,
like
you
my
know when you
favorite.
say, I know, people will just speak out, I know how to manipulate women. They're like, that's a guy.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's why he's never on camera.
I'm the editor. I can. But with fathers, I'm so awkward because I don't know how like you talk to an actual man who is a father. And like part of the things my mentor is always like, because from a young age, you're like people come to you for things, right? But when things are heavy for you, you don't. There's no one up here who you go to. Because even right now, the same people who I take care
Prim, I'm
of.
surprised
People who I take care of.
that you didn't
is
say
because-
God is there.
She thought it. She thought it. She thought it.
There is no one there to take your cast
No,
your
because he's
burden.
here. He's here. He's here. He's
And
here.
then Cheryl said yes.
Yeah. But like family tree because there's no father up here. There's no
You said
I
you're
think
not
that gospel songs, Pumla, no, the Jaira.
No.
She's saying, cast your body.
That's
That's where that teaching ended.
Those are songs of
No.
poor believers. We're like provider.
Anyway,
Your grace is sufficient.
yes, Alan,
So
continue.
there's no one higher because I even reached a point whereby my mom moved even from here and then she became like a beneficiary, so she's here.
to come for VD.
Yes.
And it will be you giving her pocket money.
Yeah.
So like in that case, my mom, also my brothers became beneficiaries.
I have a question for you. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. So, do you consider your home to have been a child-led household at some point?
I would
It
say
must
yes.
have been.
Okay, yeah, I think
Yes.
he's
Because
said
even when my mom was there, she was not there.
Yeah.
Like she would, I was going to say this. My mom would buy like 5 kgs of beans, right?
Yeah.
Cook them, boil them, put them in the freezer. Like when you guys want, fry them and you can eat. Because like she would go a while when you don't see her, or she would leave at
so
5.
that food would have to be enough for
Yeah. So today you'll be like, today I'll fry the beans with this, with that. So it's like the kids. It's me and my brother.
Okay.
Who had to do that. Then we had like my young brother is like 17 years younger.
Yeah.
So it kind of like was our child.
Yeah.
So like that was it. It was she was there, but she was not there.
And that was the norm.
And that
for
was
like a lot of
like if she said tomorrow I'm not going to work, all of us would want to find a place to go because now she's going to start seeing you haven't laid your bed in 8 days, you haven't done this, that. Yeah, it's so we had to keep on going. So friends became family in a way. Like, but also my brother had like his own friends and I had my own friends. So like family just didn't move like father, mother, this and that. It was like friends involved as well. That's why even me, I'm very natural into picking up people. You don't want to call them strays. But like I see someone who is kind of like me and I feel like all this person needs is just someone above who can tell them, okay, yes, the damaged jeans are nice, but how about not every day? So like I have those who are like always around. I have some guys, one of my sons is in Kasese, one is like others are around, but like when they come to my place, they feel like I'm going to meet someone who I can consider to be like my father figure. Yeah.
Do you know one of the things I like about having Alan off screen? It may sound like a very serious point, but I think when we talked about the privilege episode, we have some privileges that are invisible to us until you hear someone who doesn't have that privilege. And often that voice, you have to actually listen out for it. Because like if I hear that story, and if it was to happen, say in the UK, there would have to be some social protection for you because you're not really at par with everyone else. The expectation that you're now going to go to school and perform like everyone else, that you're going to have the same kind of well-roundedness, but that's the expectation that's going to have to follow you into adulthood. Like someone will look at you and say, but now why do you carry all these strays with you? Just like people who are living in the diaspora, I had this young African lady talking about, I hated my parents because we're now in Canada and we're still living less than everyone around us, because why are they sending money back home? Why are they sending money back home? I could get new jeans. Until she said, I reached a certain age and they took me back to Nigeria. And then her father said to her, do you know why we are in Canada? That woman saved money from selling water to send me to school. That woman is the one who made sure I would get the right kind of time to read and be able to say, you know what, you're going to go to Canada, make money to send back home to us. She's like, we are where we are because of these people. So we owe it back to them. But the next generation, you almost cut off from that. And her father said, it's a painful thing that I wanted you to not have to know these things, but it has divorced you from understanding why that black tax exists. So for the children, it's a black tax. But for the parents who keep engaging in it, they're like, it's an obligation.
Yeah.
Because if not for these people, I wouldn't have gone anywhere. So I think the one thing, like you were saying, like Africans, maybe we understand the struggle, is this skin carries within it the fact that you cannot trust social structures beyond the ones that you've grown up with. Even when government says we're going to give you something, like which government, how? It seems so divorced from your everyday experience.
You know, for me, what my problem with the black tax element comes in the sense that you're no longer helping the people who took you to school. You're helping everybody.
No, but Pumla, wait. Okay.
My issue, let me land.
Yeah.
That problem comes that now I am allowed to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And me, that's where my issue of black tax comes in. The decision to have children you cannot afford. Yeah. Because you have a Joel in Canada sending back money, you will have more children than you need to have. And then putting responsibility on Joel, who you took to school.
Yeah.
Me, that's where my issues
and you
are.
don't even see him enough, you don't know what the burden
No,
is.
Pumla, I think
you have a real good point
That
there.
thing, that's why there's a nuance there where people always say that those are the people who took me to school, those are the people who paid for my hospital, those are the people who did this for me. But now they have 8 children.
No, wait. Do you know, I agreed with you till I told you that book that I'm reading. No.
What?
Pumla. First of all, you have to understand that I don't think that the three of us on this table here will ever understand black tax properly. I don't think we can. If you've not experienced it, I don't think we can. Pumla, if your parents had been unable to take you to Makerere University, and you had ended up in Makerere University surprisingly, but then your father one day, like you know when surprisingly, like that thing of I'm in Essex, and then now I don't even know, like I'm so sure there is no money. Then my father comes back one day and says, Prima, you're going to university. Then I cry, then I die, then I go the other. So I can't believe, like there was no prospect.
It was never in my plan.
Then one day my father comes to me and he says, Prima, do you know the reason you went to school was because I went to Alan. Alan gave me 50K. I went to Pumla. Pumla gave me 100K. And then he gives you a list of 20 people. Those are the people who paid for you. And then now their children are now also going to university. But your father is no longer of that age that can make money. So, but these people took you. So now it's almost like a cycle. I agree with you that it's not right, and there should be.
It's hard for someone else to determine for you.
No, if it had been I think the Ugandan situation might be different, but it might be different where you have one person who helped the situation and then you went to university. But
usually that's what happens in Uganda. You can't mention 5 people.
Yes, but
usually that's one being burdened.
Exactly, but if there was this whole, so that's why I think that there are so many nuances to black tax. I mean, sometimes we think black tax is the child paying back. But black tax is also my silly son having a child and dumping the child at my home. And
it's also black
money. But now me as the grandmother who does not have money. So that's also a tax on me. Because of,
that's true.
So I think
and you might say, now let me help because I have abundance. And I think like what you're saying, you have to then make the decision yourself. Like it's very hard to say this is what you should do. Like I can expect it of you, just like society might expect of you and say, as a single mother, you should do this. But at some point you say, no, please, I'm not going to do that. It's a dialogue. So I think when we just go black, like sometimes I think we move too far in the other direction, but there's a reason that black tax it's black. Like the historical reasons we are here, it's not all of our choices. Like no one wants to be here. And then
I think also there is, as much as us the givers, those receiving, we think how come they've not matured enough to maybe work for themselves or things like that? But then also the givers have a problem because we give sort of like one-offs. We don't set up systems for people to be able to support themselves.
It's much
Get
harder
it?
to do. Yeah,
It's like
it's easier to
because-
send money than
Yeah,
to start
it's-
setting up the.
It's like there's people who my mom took care of, and right now they're very, very rich. But when they became rich and they came to my brothers and who, they were like, how can I help you? You get it? So like, what can I do that can help push you? I don't want you to come knocking on my door every single time, but can I set up something for you? So it's like, it's not a one-off, but if you set up a system that can help this person support themselves.
They don't want.
And the thing is not
And me, that's why I tell people, most of the people who used to come to me for money stopped. Because me, those are the conversations we are having.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not just giving people money. I'm not.
Yeah.
We are having a conversation and sitting down and analyzing your situation. Now we are looking at things in the face.
Yeah.
They don't want to come back
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
Because now you're putting them, you're making them
investing-
accountable.
Yeah.
For their actions or lack thereof.
Yeah.
They don't want
Yeah.
to hear.
Yeah.
So many people, they just abandon my friends, my family. I said, let's see, talking now. I've
What
given
is
you
the problem?
this 500.
Yeah.
What is the, how can we do better? How can I help you move so that you don't have to be, do you like this situation
Yeah.
where you are?
Maybe there's
Do you
something
like being
where even-
dependent?
Yeah.
They don't want those conversations. They want you to just give them money.
100K. You're like, what will this 100K do? You don't have school fees. You don't have this. Like, what can it do?
Is there
It's just-
a
it's just going to
can
meet
we
this
go
immediate
to
thing now.
YMCA? Can you go and do
Yeah.
research? Find if there are some courses you can do. Get a diploma,
research,
short thing. Come and bring me the school fees. They don't come.
Yeah.
They don't want.
I think what you learn is that just because someone has been in misfortune, that doesn't make them somehow moral. Because you know that thing of, oh, this person is suffering, somehow they are now moral. No, like poor people have good hearts. That's how things are usually spoken of. Rich, greedy people, and then poor people. But in both sections, you can have someone who is not going to do anything about it at all. So if you look at someone as just the scenario they are in, I think what you're saying is look at the person as a full human. You have the capacity to learn these things. And I think that's not a harsh thing to say. To say, I want to help you, but I want to help us all together.
But I want a
I don't
lot
want
of
to now be looking at you and feel resentful, because I think that's the resentment of I'm trying to help you. Nah, yeah. I feel like you just keep coming and asking me for the things, and you're not ever trying to take advantage of the fact that I can help you set up something so that you don't have to keep coming. I understand what you're saying.
Alan, you were saying something when I started speaking. Do you remember? You had said
You're in
something.
Kismet.
I cut you off somewhere.
It was like, I had, my grandmother had daughters. So when all her sons died, like my father, my uncles, we only had women, and they all went abroad. And I think at the start when they had just gone, they had a lot of money. So all me and my cousins, like, Christmas, at auntie showing up, with this, with that. So that's the issue. Like people, you can get used to those one-offs. Like someone shows up, you have clothes, you have shoes, you have stuff. Then the time reached whereby they couldn't anymore. They didn't have the money. The jobs are not there. They are now retiring and things like that. And then they just stopped showing up in general to us. And then, because there are some of my cousins, of course, who only wanted the money. But for me, I built connections with these people because, like, I didn't have my dad. I considered them to be the people who were like my dad. So I wanted to find a way of telling them that, we know you can actually just come to Uganda and we just sit and chill. Like, I just want us to have this. But to them, their heads are like, I must go there when I have this. So their solution was like, let me reduce. If I was taking for 18 cousins, let me find out those two. Well, I'll go stay at their place. I'll be with them.
They
and stuff
cut
like
you
that.
off.
And they cut. I have my auntie who I love to death. But I have not seen her in like 10 years because she thought the relationship was like money based. And when the money was not there, no contact, but I just hear, oh, she was in Uganda and she disappeared. Let me just let's meet, sit, come home, pass for lunch, see the kids I have, see this, like that. So it's like, even then, they're like, if I have nothing to give, let me just disappear.
Yeah. But Joel, I think we came to this black tax conversation.
How did we enter black tax?
Because he had asked about structure. He had asked that this whole family thing, right?
Okay.
What are the structural changes? Because he had asked Alan, what structural changes would Alan have made if you were to sort of, like, first of all, like, what benefit is there in the government or in the, I don't know what, to sort of help the situation? So, and I think the answer is no. That's why we went straight to black taxes. I think we are helping us.
We are helping ourselves.
Yeah, we're helping
we are the
ourselves.
plan. We
Yes,
are
we
the
are the
social
plan.
protection.
Yeah.
We are the safety net.
Yeah.
We are each other's safety net.
But Uganda actually has really...
But that's impressive that he was supported.
No, I've also heard that there was the support, of course, religion. Everywhere I touch places, religion seems to come through as helping through, even mosques and through. But this is why I wanted to ask you, like, do you feel, because a lot of the time there's the double-edged sword, like, say, of course, in this country, there are discussions around that is what a family should look like. For instance, there was a religious influence when it came to the fact that in a divorce, remember there's been a debate in Parliament around no-fault divorce. Now they say part of the reason they're arguing is like, no, this is a holy institution, you should not divorce. So while at the same time they're helping people here saying, oh, okay, these are orphans, you're helping out, but they're also making conversations around saying, your consent. In fact, the way it was argued in Parliament was that by you marrying a man, you are giving consent on a continual basis to remain in that relationship. And part of it was when they were talking about marital rape. Like with marital rape, they're saying it's impossible. And the argument that was coming forward is you're consistently giving your consent, which is abhorrent, right? So like, that's why I say abhorrent. Abhorrent.
Is it abhorrent to your kids?
It's abhorrent. It's distasteful. It's unbecoming of a society.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you should answer for the church, but I'm saying, how do you find that?
Yeah.
How would you debate something like that?
No, I would say, again, I go back to my point of that day. To truth's intention.
Yeah.
The church is trying to promote a certain institution, which is exactly, I think, the where Pumla started from, in saying that this picture of mother, father, children, the dog, and the house is not a bad picture. It is, in fact, ideal, because ordinarily there is a role a man plays, there is a role a woman plays, and we can see children where the man missed now daddy issues, children where the man missed mother wound. You can see the importance of that unit, but that does not mean that that is the world, right? The world is that there will always be gray areas. So I think that sometimes the church, in trying to fight for this unit and trying to fight for this whole, because society tries to protect itself, right? So it's trying to protect that whole
What has been
ideal
known.
and tradition, and but that does not mean that you do not fight for the rights of people who have
Someone
divorced.
who may
You don't
disagree
fight
with
for
that.
the rights of the woman who's been beaten by this man. You don't fight for the rights of the woman who's being raped by her husband. You don't fight for that. You understand? Like, you don't close off yourself into such a box because you're fighting for the. So fight for the institution, but that does not mean that stop fighting for the rights of the other people who. So I that's why I have a very, very big problem with the whole you cannot divorce. Because even Jesus
Specifically.
was where there has been infidelity, right? Or even sometimes, my dear, it's not infidelity. Like, you cannot.
I don't want.
Like, as long as they are human beings.
tired.
Yeah, you understand. As long as they're human beings who have been brought up in the world, who have their trauma, who have their issues, you found this. You understand. Like, there's sometimes where the situation you're better apart than you are together. I don't think that it's right to say that, because there are many people, because of the religion, are ending up saying we must say in this thing. I also, again, to truth's intention, you must fight. Do your best to fight, because I think these days people run out without even
That's true.
But you must fight. So I think that we can protect this whole fight for the thing, protect the thing, while also saying, yeah, guys, they are divorced, let's protect them also.
Your relationship with religion, or at least your relationship with your faith, has always been what informs how you live.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to then say, I believe this about God, therefore you must obey this belief I have, because as a nation, we're a secular nation. Of course, I will encourage you to do something, but once it becomes legally binding, which I hear what you're saying, it's now I'm saying my beliefs are now your obligations. You should be able to say, I'm walking out of this, I'm not harming anyone. You're free to do what you want. No one has ever come into your marriage and said, you people divorce. No, it's when it now comes into my, like the law is now coming into my life. I was seeing how in the UK, just in 2010, was it, they finally said that the heir can be the firstborn child. Even that one is a bit problematic. But before it had been the firstborn male child. So now imagine how property from time immemorial has now been just excluded to say that you're on an equal standing. No, you see your parents have won a lot of cash, your brother is doing over God knows what. It's going to automatically go to him. If your father dies without a will, succession comes in immediately and says to you, in fact, be a good woman. Make sure this is going to come. That stuff of you're a widow and that means now you're going to be married to this one's brother. What are you talking about? So I feel like there's some structural things that have become encumbrances. And I think one of the things we wanted to do with this podcast was to say, there are ways in which people can do collective action to speak about things like that. But the first thing is to be informed that these things are not just cultural. The cultural attitudes inform the political attitudes that inform the economic ways in which things are structured, which informs the laws. And we can't tell you what to say in terms of this is what you should do, but you're not voiceless. You can say something. You can find out what your parliamentarian is speaking about. What are the laws that are coming through? We've got some of the resources that are going to be shared in the description. Alan, I hope you're going to put them in the description. Because if
Is he aware of that?
Because I always go to the description, nothing.
Description is like you thought,
Find nothing, just say as per usual.
Are you saying in PPJ specifically?
Yeah,
And a
no,
podcast?
in our podcast.
Are you serious?
Always. So this is going to be shared. Never.
No, that's not nice.
That's not true.
I've never checked. I've never checked.
That's not true.
I've never checked, so I don't know.
No, you go and check.
I've always
Very
been
proud
in-
you go and
so
check.
because
Press show.
I've always
Because when people go,
believed
they
that
just
they're
look at the shared description, but they never press. Sometimes like,
Okay.
where's the link? And I say, please click show more. It's always there.
Okay. I've never clicked show more. I've never clicked so. I just put no. But when I'm reading the cafe, like when I'm reading, no. I
So
put
when
that
you
link
say
on
show
the
more,
down. Not what you read in this episode. Joel,
we always have like 5 paragraphs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually they read the description of the episode, but not the resources that are following. So this time we shall put arrows. We say it is there. Please continue scrolling down.
I don't cut out things.
We are discussing improvement as a broadcast. We haven't had a meeting, so we are having a
Welcome to the production meeting. What time is it launching? Anyway.
Yeah, but I wanted to speak to that societal issue, and I think the term you brought up earlier was a great one. Is the definition like it's a double-edged sword, and it takes us back to the first question. We understand the intention, but how do we? And we know that society and tradition and faith limits us.
Yes.
Because it limits us in our thought processes. Because if someone is coming to you and saying that till death do us part, you can't think, you're not allowed to think outside that box. But I like the perspective you brought in of that is your box. For you, that is your box as a believer. That's okay, choose it. But now, why do you have to share? Why do you make your box my box if I'm not choosing that box? I have a colleague at work, very, very senior.
The one who came to Kampala on a bus.
I can't say her name. I'm not that one. This one, no, that one was a man. On a bicycle. Bicycle. Yeah. Pilgrimage poverty. That is it. This one is she's a very Christian woman, saved, and she used to come to me and ask me.
Yeah.
She got married a little later, and she's older than me.
Yeah.
But she used to come to me and ask me, Pumla, but how can you go through a divorce? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
You can't. She was talking when she was not married at that time.
Yeah.
Very Christian, best woman. But even when she was talking, it wasn't so much that she was saying religion or Christian. It was society, it was tradition of to make it work.
Yeah.
You fight and make it work. Marriage is not easy. Marriage is hard. I told you before, when people say marriage is hard. Like you make it, it was not a concept that happened to her. Now she got married. Got married at 30.
Marriage became hard.
And when I saw it, not 30, she was older, she was about 35, 35.
Yeah.
And they had a nice wedding, everything. She came, and let me tell you something. If Oyo Mchala yajja kufumba was a person, it was her. Gandhi PhD.
Okay.
Gandhi PhD.
We know.
Actually, she reminded me like my mother of very highly, like she's two different things.
Yeah.
Highly accomplished, but the woman, my husband.
Yeah. My
So
me and my man.
2 years ago, she only told me recently that she's gone through a divorce.
Did
But she told me-
you bring out receipts?
No, not at all. But you see, even if she's the one who brought out that recipe. I didn't even remember.
Yeah.
She's the one who told me.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to come and ask you, and you never used to understand what I was saying. Even me, I didn't understand. But she literally stayed in her marriage for 2 extra years,
Because of the...
seeking permission from God. That's what she said.
Of course.
She said, I know exactly what you said, that when you choose, you have chosen a life commitment. You can't back away. It's like a child. You can't now wake up in the morning and say, I'm tired of my child.
Yeah.
That's how for her she viewed marriage. that it's God ordained. You must make it work. So she said, I lived there unhealthily for 2 years. That girl, let me tell you, used to get sick all the time. She was always sick, always. And the doctors didn't know what was ailing her. She was always in Nairobi, finding ways to treat us. What's going on?
Whom be married.
Imagine the day she walked out, a year has passed. She has never fallen sick after that. Stress. And that's why for me, I don't know, I feel like society prioritizes appearances over well-being. That is what my issue is. That at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the teaching is. I believe that teaching, whatever it is, whether it's religion or society or tradition, must evolve. It must evolve. Wasn't there a Pope who agreed to
bless.
same-sex?
Even said to having female.
No, to bless them.
To bless, yeah, to bless them. Meaning that they've broadened.
They're
there's
going.
They've
progress
broadened.
happening.
It is saying that for me, this is what my teaching is.
Yeah.
But there must be a reason why the reality is different, why other people are different. I keep on telling people, do you think that we come here and we sit and I want to be a single mother?
Of course
No one
not.
chooses.
I
No one
choose
chooses
to be a single mother.
Yeah.
I don't. But no one chooses to be different. Do you think I sit here and choose that I want to like a man in a society where people are throwing stones at them?
Yeah.
I don't. No one wants to be different. So there must be something that there are gray areas, you've said, Prima, that maybe we're not understanding. And some people have decided that because we don't understand it, it is wrong.
Yeah.
And then they base everything is based around that, and then where everybody now is, you know
and,
what?
and I think my no, really well said, Pumla. And I think for me, my issue sometimes is the law is for everyone. That is one thing that I think we need. The law is for everyone.
Supposed to be blindfolded.
The law is supposed to.
your
The law
identity
is
your-
justice.
yeah.
You understand? There should be justice.
Yeah, lawyer.
Tons. Okay, what your Esquire.
You see, there should be justice for the religious, for the non-religious, for the woman, for the man, for the I don't know.
All
what.
alike.
Now, when we decide that we identify as Christians, right? As Christians, we shall have our law, which is the Bible. But even that law, like you said, should be able to address the questions of the day, right? If we decide that we are, I don't know what, we should have our group, and that group should also be able to adjust. So for me, my problem comes in, of course, because now I like the whole maybe LGBTQ issue. I've been in an interview where I have been asked, because I remember, and it was one of the first interviews I did where I was asked, because they knew I was a Christian, and I was going to work in the human rights space, and so they were asking me, so how will you handle this? Because they knew we know your faith, so how will you handle this? And I was like, first of all, I agree that my faith is, I lead with my faith, but the law is justice. When we are talking about the LGBTQ, because if we're talking about health, if we're talking like
access
why would I
basic human rights.
But now when we come to your recruiting, Kati, now
there we have a problem.
You understand?
That's a different conversation.
That's a completely separate conversation. And yet whenever you're trying to, maybe people are advocating, they're trying, they're mixing all sorts of issues. So you come and make the point, don't mix issues. If you're talking about justice, address justice and we'll be there. If you're talking about, I don't know now, recruiting, I just recruit it and just punish only the recruiters, not just say they are not entitled to. So for me, I think that's the point. Like, if you are creating policies, let them be policies that are
that follow that principle.
And then now
not singling out some individuals because of who they are or their identity.
All
right. I mean, Alan.
But me, I think, there's that car law of what? That car rule. Is it still there that girls get 1.5?
It is.
Yeah, I think Alan needed to have got it.
I agree.
That's what we are saying.
Yeah.
He needed like 3.
I think Alan needed my 1.5.
There was no year on the paper, on the job forms. They were like, this one.
Child
Again, Pumla, that's a newest conversation, because Alan is one.
Now that's not a problem.
Alan is
that
one in I don't know how
he's
many.
The minority.
He's the minority.
If there was a way to find him, if there was a way to find him, like, are you single child at home?
Yeah.
We need to give
Yeah. What is that? What affirmative action?
Funny thing about forms is that was my mom was
here comes the story.
She was a household. She used to go and help clean the house and things like that.
Alan, you introduce new facts
So-
every time without.
No.
Funny thing is when they gave me the job form P7, like what mom's occupation.
Yeah, put your
I don't remember.
Put your mom's job.
I put
In PhD holder.
I don't remember.
I put what she actually does.
Why did they
and
ask
then
us for
I
parents?
was beaten for that one.
Hey, what did you
Because
put?
I put what she does.
What did you write?
House girl.
House girl.
Oh.
And then when she saw the form, she
she beat you.
Yes, she's like, put housewife. And then she beat me again because I asked her, now where is your husband?
We finished the pod.
Guys, thanks. So, we had our final.
No, you guys, I think we need 5 minutes for this conversation because I'm just like, Pumla is always silent.
Guys, thank you for attending this episode of PPJ on the family matters. You're going to see in the description that we've shared a lot of resources. We're quite serious about saying that you should take collective action. Please use your voice. Please take a chance to ask questions, like Pumla has used her voice, and made sure that our school could then be able to help other children be able to see there are different ways in which you can be family, that poor Prima was able to also speak and advocate for justice, even having her own beliefs. She didn't let that limit her from bringing Lady Justice into what she's doing. And for me, I'm just here talking, making sure everyone can hear these words. So please take this as serious. Share with us any of your experiences that you've had. We want to have, a sort of dialogue. For those of you who shared on our Instagram, thank you so much. Those stories were quite inspirational. We're going to share those again. And until we have PPJ again, any last words? We love you, family.
Yeah.
As if.
Mama, it's just that I have been shut into silence.
Yeah.
By that.
Like that can be. Even here. Yeah.
But I wanted to appeal to people. People think that it is only people who have platforms who should talk. Do you know that you be in conversations, and this is something I want to appeal more to men. You be in conversations, you're in the bar, you're in the workplace, your colleague, your friend, your brother talks garbage.
Yeah.
And you just laugh.
Challenge
in a
garbage.
WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And you just laugh.
Yeah. Challenge it.
Change starts from your spaces, the spaces that you live in. If someone is saying something stupid,
Call it stupid.
call it out, find out.
Yeah.
But why are you speaking like
Yeah.
that? Because you also know it's garbage.
Yeah.
But because you want to fit in, you don't want to rock boats.
Yeah.
Someone in a certain WhatsApp group called me. What is that lady's name? She led to the fall of a French.
Marie Antoinette.
It was a conversation where a guy had said something like really off-putting about women.
Yeah.
And everybody just kind of laughed, cut it off. And it was only one woman who was like really calming and fighting. And probably because she's always fighting, they're like, so me now I started typing.
Yeah.
The whole chat started that this woman is typing. She's coming. As in saying that person they were referring to, that she's coming. So I just laid it out and I said, but you guys, honestly, is that really a thought process that you subscribe to?
Yeah.
I understand that idiot because he says idiotic things here on this WhatsApp group all the time.
Yeah.
But for you to just laugh or keep quiet, don't you feel a responsibility to say something else? If someone said that about your mother or your sister, would you feel okay?
Yeah.
And that's when they started talking.
Yeah.
Saying actually, of course in a joking way, not in a whatever. But just by them speaking up, and not that's just speak in your groups, in your communities, in your spaces, whatever they look like, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Don't wait to say that now PPJ, you guys have a platform, you speak. Prima is a lawyer, let her speak.
Yeah.
Joel is a CEO, let him speak. Pumla is an economist, like you guys are lucky you can speak. As long as you are given a voice, you can talk.
Yeah. And for me, I think Pumla, for me, my same in the same line, for me, my point, again in line with what you're saying, of speak up, I think also challenge your view. Challenge yourself. Like the thing that you
is
have,
it.
the fact that I thought mother, father, children, all the fact was the only way. Now that you have
That
had
is
this,
it.
now when you hear a conversation, challenge your thought process and say, is this really it? Challenge yourself in your workplace. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any words?
We're just going to put it.
Yes, give us something.
No, I'm just going
A word to the
point. It's like challenging because sometimes it's hard. Some people are very rigid on I have a friend who only listens to country music, old school music when we're traveling.
Oh Lord.
That's what I know. That's what my dad when we were traveling.
Yes.
People are going to play. I'm like, you can change. No, I won't.
Yeah.
Even when there's somebody else in the car?
I'm so stuck.
Yeah.
Even when there's someone else in the car?
Even when there's other people in the car.
Must be the worst ride. I can never. It's people like that who made me promise in my life to make my own money. Yeah, to make my own money and
Right,
never depend on,
depending.
because imagine you depend on someone who is taking you for a burial.
They told you those.
and they listen to
they
country
tell you
music.
the rules of a lift. When the person is going to the toilet, you're like. When they're going to, you're like, are we? When the person is standing, you're like, yeah, you are not at peace. You can't enjoy the
You can't be
You've
at
just-
peace.
You've just reached your party, then you're like, what time are we going?
have to ask what time we are going. You know what I mean?
But you guys, Alan's point. The one of the.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well done, guys.
Well done, well done, well done.
Well done.